Welcome into the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Fun video here as we do have a Lauri Markkanen update for the Miami Heat, as there is a report out there that the Heat have shown interest in Lauri Markkanen, and this obviously should excite Heat fans because Markkanen is an exceptional player and is someone who could really transcend this team and get Miami back in the contending discussion in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA. Before we get into the report and my analysis, instant reaction, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have the latest news and rumors around the Heat. We are the best YouTube channel there is for news and rumors on the Heat, and we are also going to be breaking down some Summer League games upcoming as well. Wednesday will be live, 2 games, Saturday and Sunday as well. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. All right, the initial report came in from ESPN Zach Lowe, and I do think this is a notable report because of the reporter. There is common knowledge that Zach Lowe does have ties with the Miami Heat organization. Not crazy deep like Barry Jackson or even Ethan J. Skolnick and 5 Reasons Sports Network at times, but like he is someone that when he reports on Miami, he is someone reputable. Like it's not Woj saying this, because if Woj is saying something about the Heat, it would be either agent talk or the opposing GM trying to get their thing out there. But Zach Lowe reporting this kind of tells me there might be some substance on this report. All he said is that they were interested, but then here's the intriguing part. It was later confirmed by NBA insider Mark Stein. He has his own little Substack. He does have sources around the league, and he dropped an article that featured this quote: "3 main takeaways I've heard in reporting on Utah's ongoing willingness to field calls from teams interested in highly coveted forward Lauri Markkanen after an aggressive recent pursuit by Golden State to acquire him, and discussions with other teams such as Kings, Spurs, Heat, and Pelicans." There was more to that excerpt, but I wanted to just show that because that is now the second time that Miami has been linked to Lauri Markkanen. And some people might come out and say that the Heat are just getting their name tossed in there to drive up the trade value of Lauri Markkanen because teams know that Miami would like him and he would fit so well. So if they want him, like a Golden State, Sacramento, San Antonio, or New Orleans, you're going to have to maybe offer up a better pick in some sort or add more to your trade offer because Miami is another team lurking. And to that, I would say I'm a little bit puzzled by that line of thinking. And I definitely understand that that happens in the NBA, and it probably happens much more than we think because Miami is such a prominent fan base, prominent media space, to where if they get put in there into the reports, it's going to drive up the price point because Pat Riley also has a reputation. But this one doesn't make too much sense to me because if you think about what the other teams can offer from Golden State, Sacramento, San Antonio, and New Orleans, the only ones that are really concerning to me in terms of beating out a Heat trade package is San Antonio, because they have so many picks, including the Hawks picks that they got in that initial DeJounte Murray trade. And they also have their own picks. Like San Antonio has the best trade package if you're looking at just specifically draft picks going to Utah. But Golden State, Sacramento, like they can't even offer that many more first round picks than Miami, maybe 1 or 2 max, but they also don't have the players Miami could send. And it just all depends on what Danny Ainge wants, right? Does he want a package that is only first round picks? That's kind of what history might tell you, but maybe he's looking to go in a different direction and start building this roster with good young players that can really be the next core of the Utah Jazz. So to me, I do think there is a package that Miami can offer that would be very enticing to Utah. Can they be the number 1 team in terms of draft picks? No. But if they're just talking about individual young guys, yes, Miami will absolutely be there. We'll talk about what that package is, but let me know, do you want to trade for Lauri Markkanen? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Create some conversation down in the chat. When you think of what Miami could offer for Lauri Markkanen, it's very simple, and I've talked about this specific trade package quite a bit in the past. It would be Tyler Hero, it would be Nikola Jovic, it would be Jaime Jaquez Jr., and it would be 1 unprotected first-round pick, whether it be in 2030 or in 2031. Both of them are eligible to be traded, but you cannot trade both of them because of the rule where you can't trade your own first-round picks in back-to-back years, so just pick which year you would like to do. Now, you'd probably choose 2030 because then in next offseason, when 2032 comes available, you could trade that. Because if you trade 2031, you would not be able to trade 2032. You get the moral of the story. But either way, when you think about why that package might entice Utah, you get a really solid young player in Jaime Jaquez Jr. And I honestly think at this point in all three of those guys' careers I mentioned, Triple J might be the headlining piece coming back to Utah because he was just terrific as a rookie for Miami last season. He was no doubt the third best rookie in the NBA when you just think of that draft class. I get Chet Holmgren was technically a rookie, but I'm just looking at Victor Wembanyama. And then you can make the debate between Brandon Miller and Jaime Jaquez Jr. as the second or third rookie, but I'll probably give the slight edge to Brandon Miller right there because he was just asked to do more, and Triple J was able to work off some other high-level players. But the future looks bright for Jaime because if he's able to incorporate a consistent three-point shot where he shoots 37-38% from three, well, you're talking about a wing who is very smart. He can handle, he can play make, he can score, he can defend a little bit. He adds another layer to that offense, and maybe he could be a top player in this league. And that might be a reason why Miami fans might want to keep Jaime Jaquez Jr. But the moral of the story is if that comes to fruition for Triple J, it would only be in the next 3-4 seasons where that might be able to finally come and happen, right? And you're just simply not in the business of waiting 3 or 4 seasons as long as you employ Jimmy Butler on this roster. Lauri Markkanen is that dude. He averaged 23 points last year, 8.5 rebounds, shot 48% from the field and 40% from three. Dude's a dog. He is. And I am skeptical of his ability to be a second option on a championship contending team. That's why Golden State, even if they acquire him, I don't know if it pushes them in closer to championship contending. But the other teams mentioned, like New Orleans, Sacramento, Miami, San Antonio would be your number 2 to Wemby, and that'd be a long-term play, not a short-term play. But those other three teams, like you get Lauri as the all right, when I say third best player, like he could be the third best player, but there is a chance he's the second or number 1 scorer. Like on Miami, if Markkanen was on this team, there is a legit chance Lauri would lead the team in scoring and points per game. I think that is a legit scenario, but I think we would all be able to realize that he is probably the third best player in total behind Jimmy and Bam just because of their two-way ability and how consistent they are. You could say the same thing in Sacramento, Sabonis, Fox, New Orleans, DeJounte Murray, Zion. Probably put Lauri 1, probably 2, honestly, on that team behind Zion. But Lauri's been more consistent, so honestly, who knows? But who cares about them? We're only talking about Miami, right? I think that is a worth a deal. And I know Heat fans have been skeptical to send the entire house for Lauri Markkanen. I just think a 7-footer who moves the way he does, he's able to shoot off movement, and that's so important, right? When you talk about three-point shooting, he can come off pin downs, he can come and pick and pop and knock it down with ease. He can take it to the rack on his own. He's like very athletic too. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm telling you, like, I think there are some tropes on Lauri Markkanen's game that people automatically think about him that just simply are not correct. Like, he can score at all 3 levels, and he's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. Period. Like, that would obviously help Miami, and you get someone that's a 7-footer as well that can play alongside Bam. I'm not calling him our Kristaps Porzingis because he's just simply not as tall as Porzingis, but he's also more dynamic than Kristaps is, and he's a better overall player. And getting that fit would help Miami in so many different ways. And obviously, everybody's going to talk about what he would be able to do offensively for Miami, but I think the difference with the Heat would be defensive. You get another guy in the front court next to Bam that can defend. He is a slightly above average defender in my book in terms of Lauri Markkanen. He is not average. He's not below average. He's slightly above average, which would allow you to put him on some centers because he can do that. Now, a lot of people might say, well, he played the 3 in Cleveland, he played the 4 in Utah. There were a lot of lineups that the Jazz ran last year where Markkanen was the biggest player on the floor. And I probably wouldn't try to have him be your lone center or lone big man out there often, but it is a lineup you could potentially run. But having Lauri be the 4 next to Bam would just allow Adebayo to have so much free roam defensively, because you don't have to be concerned about switching consistently and being left with a big man on a smaller guy inside, because, well, you have another 7-footer there that can help and either be that person that switches. So I think Lauri Markkanen's absolutely worth it. There's no one that's a bigger fan of Nikola Jovic and Jaquez than I am. If you've watched the channel over the past year, you would know that, how excited we get during our watch parties on how those two perform. But simply put, if you have Jimmy on your team, you have to try to put a winning team around him. And even though I like the pieces on this roster right now, I do not believe they can win an NBA championship. And if you believe they can, I'm not going to come here to say and tell you you're wrong and you don't know basketball. I'm just going to come on here and say, like, just look at the other teams in the East, like the Celtics, the 76ers, the Knicks. They all got significantly better. And this roster, although I think could win 49, 50 games next year and be a 6-5-4 seed if they stay healthy, I just don't think they're going to be able to win in the postseason against those Phillies, New Yorks, and Boston type of teams. But you add Lauri Markkanen now we're talking business. And an underrated portion of it, too, is there would be a lot of cap difficulties. There's no debating that. But you get Lauri Markkanen, he's making $18 million this upcoming season. You trade out a package of Hero, Jovic, Jaquez, you're creating $17 million cap space. It would be very difficult to sign DeMar DeRozan, but it becomes a legit possibility if you create that $17 million cap space. I think Miami would go not the DeRozan route, though. They'd probably try to build out more rotation players. Say this trade happens like 2 days from now, and Caleb Martin and Highsmith are both still out there. Well, if that's the case then, and you freed up $17 million cap space, why not bring back Caleb on a $10 million deal per season and bring Haywood back on a $7 million per year, and you keep those 3-and-D guys off the bench that fit your system, fit your culture, know how to play in this Eric Spoelstra-led team, and you're adding Markkanen, but you're able to retain those guys. Like, there are a lot of different avenues you can go. It's also interesting to note that Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz have consistently held a high regard for Tyler Hero in the past. I think they are one of the teams that if Miami makes a splash and trades for Lauri Markkanen or just sheds Tyler Hero's contract in general, Utah's the team you got to watch, because they have had an affection for him in the past. They also have the cap space to absorb his contract, and I think it makes a lot of sense fit-wise to get Hero in there as a young player who can score 20 points per game. He can be that backcourt mate of the future, potentially, with Keontae George, who played very nicely for them last season, who they took out of Baylor in the first round of the draft. So there are a lot of reasons for Utah to accept that package. Sure, I know you're not getting a shit ton of picks, but at what point would you rather just have proven young guys that have been in meaningful rotations that could only grow higher and higher? Like, right? Like, who knows what Jovic's ceiling is? Jaquez can continue to grow. And you get a proven 20-point-per-game scorer to help you hold it down now. To me, that makes a lot of sense if you're Utah. I don't know if someone's coming over the top with like 4 or 5 first-round picks, and if so, power to them. But if it's 2 first-round picks and Jonathan Kuminga from Golden State or 1 first-round pick from Miami and Jovic, Jaquez, and Hero, I feel like they would be more inclined to take Miami's package. That's just my personal belief. I don't know what they think, but the people out there telling you that the Heat's trade package, their best trade package of 1 or 2 firsts and then those 3 young guys is bad, that's just incorrect. It is a good trade package. I don't care what people say. It's just a matter of if Utah wants to take that or one that is headlined by a shit ton of picks. That's going to do it for today's video. If any more news or rumors drop, we'll come back with another episode, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to have it all. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle, because I'm talking Heat basketball there every single day. And if any news or rumors do actually happen, my Twitter is the first place you're going to see it, and then we're going to come make a video about it. So make sure you follow me, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you with a video tomorrow, if not later today, if something happens. Go Heat.